The last stand the crimson sky of Kepler 442 be burned with the fires of a dying civilization. Dr. Maya Singh pressed her face against the small observation window of the underground mining complex, watching streaks of plasma rain down from orbit like deadly stars. Each flash marked another Kalari city reduced to ash, another million peaceful souls silenced forever. Maya, get away from there, Captain Rex Morrison called softly from across the makeshift command center. The former Colonial Defense Force officer had traded his uniform for mining gear weeks ago, but his military bearing remained unchanged. The Ravagers have thermal scanners. Any heat signature near the surface could give us away. Maya stepped back from the window, her heart heavy with grief. 3 months ago, she had arrived on this world as part of a scientific expedition to study Kalari biotechnology. The Kalari were remarkable beings, standing nearly 8 feet tall, with crystalline skin that could photosynthesize sunlight. They had achieved perfect harmony with their planet, growing their cities from living coral-like structures that filtered air and water naturally. Their technology was based on biological processes rather than mechanics, creating a civilization that enhanced rather than damaged their environment. Now that civilization was being systematically exterminated, the Ravager Empire had descended upon the Kalari homeworld without warning or declaration. These reptilian humanoids were the galaxy's most feared predators, conquering worlds not for resources or territory, but for the simple pleasure of destruction. They enslaved some populations, experimented on others, and eliminated those they deemed worthless. The Kalari, despite their peaceful nature and advanced biotechnology, fell into the latter category. Dr. Singh, a melodic voice called from the deeper tunnels. Zara Veltar, the leader of the Kalari refugees, approached with graceful steps despite her obvious exhaustion. Her once brilliant azure skin had dulled to a pale blue, and the bioluminescent patterns that normally danced across her features flickered weakly. The children are asking when we can return to the surface. What should I tell them? Maya's throat tightened. Nearly 4,000 Kalari civilians huddled in these mining tunnels, saved only because Captain Morrison had recognized the invasion signs early and evacuated the research stations. They had food for perhaps another week, and the Ravagers were systematically searching every underground facility on the planet. Tell them we're working on it, Rex said, gently, though his eyes met Maya's with grim understanding. They both knew the truth. There was no rescue coming. The Kalari space fleet had been obliterated in the first hour of the invasion. No neighboring systems would risk provoking the Ravager Empire. And Earth was too far away to even know what was happening here. The tremor shook the tunnel complex, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. The Ravagers were using deep penetration scanners now, probing beneath the planet's surface for signs of life. Rex checked his handheld scanner and cursed under his breath. They're getting closer. The thermal shields won't hide us much longer. He looked around at the faces watching him, both human and Kalari, all showing the same desperate hope for a miracle that wouldn't come. Maybe it's time we consider other options. Maya knew what he meant. The research team had brought several experimental weapons designed for mining operations. They could make a final stand, take some Ravagers with them before the inevitable end. It would be suicide, but it might buy the children a few more hours of life. No, Zara said firmly, her voice carrying the authority of her people despite her exhaustion. The Kalari do not believe in violence, even in our final moments. If we must die, we will die as we lived, in peace. Rex nodded respectfully, though Maya could see the frustration in his eyes. As a soldier, going down fighting felt natural. As a protector, watching innocents face slaughter felt like failure. Another tremor, stronger this time. Then another. The pattern was wrong for scanner probes. Maya frowned, checking her own instruments. Rex, these aren't coming from the Ravager's search pattern. Something's happening in orbit. Rex pulled up the long-range sensors they had jerry-rigged to monitor Ravager fleet movements. His face went pale. Maya, you need to see this. The energy readings are off the charts. She looked at the display and felt her heart skip. Massive power signatures were appearing throughout the system, But they weren't Ravager designs. These were something entirely different, something that shouldn't exist. What are we looking at? Zara asked, moving closer to study the strange patterns. I don't know, Maya admitted. These energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. The power output is incredible, but the technology is completely alien to both human and Kalari science. Above them, the bombardment had stopped. The Ravager fleet that had been systematically glassing the planet's surface had gone silent. Through the observation window, Maya could see the crimson sky beginning to clear as the orbital fires died down. Rex's military training kicked in as he analyzed the tactical situation. Whatever's happening up there, it's got the Ravagers' attention. They've stopped the surface bombardment and are repositioning their fleet into a defensive formation. Defensive? Maya asked, against what? The answer came in the form of a communication signal that penetrated their shielded hideout with impossible precision. The voice that spoke was human, but carried an authority and confidence that sent chills down Maya's spine. This is Admiral Elena Cross of the Earth Defense Coalition. All human personnel in the Kepler 442 system, please respond on this frequency. We are initiating rescue operations immediately. Maya stared at the communication panel in shock. Earth Defense Coalition? There was no such organization in any official records. Earth's military consisted of small patrol fleets and system defense forces, nothing capable of reaching this far into space. Rex grabbed the communicator with shaking hands. Admiral Cross, this is Captain Rex Morrison, Colonial Defense Force. We have nearly 4,000 civilian refugees in underground shelters. The Ravager invasion force has approximately 300 ships in orbit. How is Earth even aware of our situation? The response came immediately, the Admiral's voice calm despite the impossible circumstances. Captain Morrison, Earth has been monitoring Ravager expansion patterns for the past 15 years. We've been preparing for this moment. Please maintain your current position and prepare for extraction. Our forces will eliminate the Ravager threat first. Your forces? Rex asked incredulously. Admiral, with respect, the Ravager fleet up there could conquer half the known galaxy. What kind of forces are you talking about? The kind that have been waiting in the shadows for exactly this scenario, Captain. Earth learned long ago that sometimes peace can only be preserved through superior firepower. Today, the galaxy learns that humanity is no longer a minor species to be ignored. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. What had Earth become in the years since their research expedition had left? The voice speaking to them belonged to someone commanding military forces that shouldn't exist, using technology that defied explanation. Zara approached the communication panel hesitantly. Admiral Cross, this is Zara Veltar, speaking for the Kalari survivors. Are your people truly capable of defeating the Ravager Empire? They have destroyed countless civilizations across the galaxy. Zara Veltar, Admiral Cross replied, pronouncing the alien name with perfect clarity. The Ravager Empire's reign of terror ends today. Humanity has a saying, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. We've been doing something for a very long time. Through the observation window, Maya saw the first signs of what was coming. Streaks of light began appearing in the darkness above, but these weren't the red plasma bolts of Ravager weapons. These were brilliant white beams that seemed to cut through space itself, moving with impossible precision and devastating effect. The mountain complex shook again, but this time it wasn't from bombardment. It was from the concussive force of massive explosions in orbit as something began systematically destroying the Ravager fleet with surgical precision. Rex stared at his scanner readings in disbelief. Maya, the Ravager ships aren't just being destroyed. They're being vaporized. Whatever weapons the humans are using, they're completely annihilating targets that should be able to withstand planetary bombardment. How is this possible? Zara whispered, watching the light show through the window as her people's tormentors were eliminated one by one. Maya shook her head in wonder. I don't know, but I think we're about to find out that there's a lot more to humanity than we ever realized. Admiral Cross's voice returned to the communication channel. All personnel in the underground shelters, prepare for transport beam activation. We're bringing you up to our medical ships for treatment and debriefing. The nightmare is over. As golden beams of energy began materializing around the refugee groups, safely lifting them through solid rock, as if it weren't there, Maya realized that this day marked more than just their rescue. It marked the moment when humanity revealed itself as something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that had quietly evolved from peaceful explorers into the most powerful military force in known space. The last thing Maya saw before the transport beam enveloped her was the night sky above, now clear of Ravager. Ships and filled instead with sleek human vessels that moved like predators among the stars. Earth had come to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as liberators, and the galaxy would never be the same. The awakening the medical bay of the EDS determination was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. The walls seemed to be made of flowing liquid metal that responded to touch, reshaping themselves to accommodate medical equipment that materialized from thin air. Kalari refugees lay on beds that adjusted automatically to their unique physiology, while human medical staff moved between them with scanners that looked more like magic than science. Maya found herself on an observation deck, watching through transparent aluminum windows as more ships materialized around them. Each vessel was a marvel of engineering, sleek and deadly, with weapon arrays that hummed with barely contained energy. The fleet was massive, easily numbering in the thousands, yet every ship moved with perfect coordination as if controlled by a single mind. Impressive, isn't it? Admiral Elena Cross approached from behind, her uniform bearing insignia that Maya didn't recognize. The admiral was younger than her voice had suggested, perhaps 40 years old, with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold decades of hidden knowledge. Though I suppose you have questions. A few thousand, Maya replied honestly, starting with how Earth developed technology that makes our most advanced research look primitive, and ending with why we never knew about any of this. Admiral Cross smiled grimly. Dr. Singh, your xenobiology expertise is part of why you're here having this conversation instead of being debriefed and sent home with memory blocks. We need people who understand alien biology because what you witnessed today is just the beginning. Memory blocks? Maya felt a chill. Who are you really? And what has Earth become? Earth is what it always was, Dr. Singh. A world full of survivors who refuse to let bullies prey on the innocent. Admiral Cross gestured toward the viewport, where the remains of the Ravager fleet drifted as expanding debris clouds. But we're also a species that learned early that good intentions mean nothing without the power to back them up. The Admiral activated a holographic display that showed a three-dimensional map of local space. Dozens of star systems appeared, many marked with ominous red indicators. 15 years ago, one of our deep space exploration vessels discovered a Ravager attack on the Centauri 7 colony. 3 million people dead in 6 hours. The crew managed to escape and bring word back to Earth, along with detailed scans of Ravager technology and tactics. Maya studied the display, noting the systematic pattern of destroyed civilizations. You've been tracking them all this time. Tracking them, studying them, and preparing for them. Admiral Cross manipulated the display to show hidden human bases throughout the sector. Earth made a decision that day. We would not announce our presence to a galaxy full of predators. Instead, we would build up our defenses while secretly monitoring threats. What you see today is the result of 15 years of focused military development. Captain Morrison appeared in the doorway, his expression still dazed from what he had witnessed. Admiral, I've just finished reviewing the tactical data from the engagement. Your ships eliminated over 300 Ravager vessels in less than an hour. Our best estimates suggested that fleet could have conquered a dozen star systems. It could have, Admiral Cross confirmed. But Captain, the Ravager Empire has grown complacent. They've faced no serious opposition for centuries. Their tactics are crude, their technology stagnant. They rely on overwhelming numbers and psychological terror rather than innovation. She gestured to another section of the display where sleek human fighters moved through space in impossible patterns. Meanwhile, Earth has been developing technology specifically designed to counter galactic threats. Our ships use quantum displacement drives that allow instant positioning anywhere in a star system. Our weapons fire concentrated dark matter streams that can penetrate any known shielding. Our fighters are controlled by quantum-linked AI that processes battlefield information faster than any biological brain. Maya watched the human vessels maneuver with growing amazement. This isn't just advanced technology. This is revolutionary science. How did Earth advance so far so quickly? By doing what humans do best, a new voice said from the entrance. Commander Jake Sullivan entered the medical bay, still wearing the powered armor that had made him look like a mechanical giant during the ground operations. We adapted. We evolved. We became whatever we needed to become to protect the people we care about. Sullivan removed his helmet, revealing a face marked by enhancement scars around his eyes and temples. Maya realized with shock that he had been cybernetically modified. His reaction time and sensory capabilities boosted far beyond normal human limits. Dr. Singh, Admiral Cross continued, "Meet Commander Sullivan, leader of our Enhanced Special Operations Division. His team eliminated over 2,000 Ravager ground troops in the time it took to extract your refugee groups." Enhanced? Maya asked, though she was beginning to understand. Voluntary cybernetic augmentation, Sullivan explained. The human body is remarkably adaptable, but in modern warfare, baseline biology isn't enough. We've learned to enhance our soldiers' capabilities while maintaining their humanity. Captain Morrison looked disturbed. You've turned soldiers into cyborgs. We've given volunteers the tools they need to protect innocent lives, Admiral Cross corrected firmly. Every enhancement is reversible, every procedure is voluntary, and every enhanced soldier understands that their purpose is to defend those who cannot defend themselves. Maya studied the tactical displays with growing realization. You're not just talking about the Ravagers, are you? This is bigger than one enemy. Much bigger. Admiral Cross manipulated the display to show the entire local galactic arm. Red zones marked aggressive empires. Yellow zones showed contested space, and tiny green dots indicated peaceful civilizations. The ratio was depressingly uneven. Dr. Singh, the galaxy is dominated by predator species. The Ravager Empire, the hegemony of Krell, the Synthetic Collective, the Hive Lords of Proxima, dozens of aggressive civilizations that expand through conquest and genocide. She pointed to a small cluster of green dots, almost invisible among the red zones. These are the peaceful species, the ones like the Kalari who develop philosophy and art and science instead of weapons. They're being systematically exterminated because they can't fight back, and Earth has decided to fight for them, Maya said, finally understanding the scope of what she was witnessing. Earth has decided to become the immune system this galaxy never had, Admiral Cross confirmed. We're not interested in building an empire. We want to create a space where peaceful species can develop their unique gifts without fear of conquest. Commander Sullivan pulled up another display showing human installations throughout the sector. We've spent 15 years building hidden bases, developing new technologies, and training specialized forces. Today was our graduation exercise. The Ravagers were your test? Captain Morrison asked incredulously. The Ravagers were one of the worst predator species in this sector, Admiral Cross replied. If our technology and tactics could eliminate them efficiently, we knew we were ready to take on the others. Maya felt the implications hitting her like a physical blow. You're planning to systematically challenge every aggressive empire in the galaxy. We're planning to give peaceful species the protection they deserve, Admiral Cross corrected. Some aggressive empires will adapt to a galaxy where predation has consequences. Others will choose to fight. Either way, the age of unchallenged galactic bullies is over. Through the viewport, Maya could see Kalari refugees being transferred to specially designed ships that would return them to their homeworld. The planet's surface was already being restored by human terraforming technology that seemed to heal environmental damage as quickly as it had been inflicted. Admiral Zara Veltar's voice came through the communication system. On behalf of all Kalari, I must ask, what do you expect in return for this salvation? In our experience, no species acts without seeking advantage. Admiral Cross smiled genuinely for the first time since Maya had met her. Zara Veltar, we expect nothing except the opportunity to learn from your people's wisdom. The Kalari have achieved environmental harmony that Earth scientists consider miraculous. If you're willing to share that knowledge, it could help us restore worlds damaged by previous wars. You want to trade military protection for scientific knowledge? Maya asked. We want to build a coalition of species that protects each other's unique strengths, Admiral Cross explained. Humanity provides military defense. The Kalari provide environmental expertise. Other species contribute their own specializations. Together, we become stronger than any empire. Captain Morrison studied the star map with new understanding. You're not just changing the balance of power. You're changing the entire structure of galactic civilization. That's exactly what we're doing, Captain. And we're hoping that people like you, Dr. Singh, and Zara Veltar will help us do it right. Maya looked out at the human fleet with new eyes. These weren't conquerors or crusaders. They were gardeners preparing to tend a galaxy-spanning ecosystem where different species could flourish. Under protected conditions. Admiral, she said finally, count me in, but I have one condition. Name it. When this is over, when you've built this coalition of protected worlds, humanity has to remain its guardian, not its ruler. Power like this, she gestured at the massive fleet surrounding them, it has to be used to serve others, not to control them. Admiral Cross nodded solemnly. Dr. Singh, that's exactly why we need people like you involved. To make sure we never forget who we're supposed to be protecting. As the fleet began moving toward the next system on their liberation list, Maya realized she was witnessing the birth of something unprecedented in galactic history, a military superpower dedicated not to expansion, but to protection. The galaxy was about to discover that Earth had evolved beyond anyone's expectations, becoming not just another advanced civilization, but the guardian angels that peaceful species had always needed but never thought possible. The age of predator empires was ending. The age of protected worlds was about to begin. New Guardians 3 months after the liberation of Kepler, 442b, Maya stood in the observation lounge of the newly constructed Harmony Station, watching representatives from 47 different species work together in the assembly hall below. The space station, built in neutral territory at the edge of the galactic arm, served as headquarters for what had become known as the Terran Protection Compact. The transformation had been breathtaking in its speed and scope. Word of humanity's emergence as a galactic superpower had spread throughout civilized space like wildfire. Peaceful species that had lived in fear for generations suddenly found themselves with a powerful protector. Aggressive empires discovered that their expansion plans now carried deadly consequences. Penny for your thoughts? Captain Morrison joined her at the viewport, wearing the new uniform of the Compact Defense Forces. His promotion to coordinator of interspecies military operations reflected humanity's commitment to working with rather than ruling over their allies. I'm watching a Kalari botanist explain terraforming techniques to an Alterian engineer while a human tactical specialist takes notes, Maya replied, gesturing to the mixed groups below. 6 months ago, most of these species had never heard of each other. Now they're collaborating on projects that could reshape entire worlds. The universe has a funny way of working out, Rex agreed. Though I have to admit, sometimes I wonder if we're moving too fast. 47 species is a lot of different opinions to coordinate. Maya nodded toward a section of the assembly where heated but respectful debate was taking place between delegates. Look at them, though. They're not fighting or competing. They're problem-solving together. When was the last time you saw that in galactic politics? Through the viewing windows, they could see the constant traffic of ships arriving and departing from Harmony Station. Human vessels still provided the primary military protection, but now They were joined by Kalari bioships that could heal environmental damage, Alterian deep space explorers that pushed the boundaries of known space, and Xantharian medical vessels that brought advanced healing techniques to worlds recovering from Imperial occupation. Admiral Cross approached them from the direction of the command center, her expression showing the careful balance of satisfaction and concern that had become her trademark. Dr. Singh, Captain Morrison, we've just received word from the reconnaissance mission to the hegemony of Krell border systems. The results are interesting. She activated a holographic display that showed a tactical map of the region where the Krell Empire had been expanding aggressively for the past decade. Instead of the red indicators that had marked active conquest operations, most systems now showed yellow status markers. They've stopped their expansion? Maya asked, studying the display. More than that, Admiral Cross confirmed. Intelligence reports indicate the Krell leadership has entered emergency sessions to discuss their strategic position. Apparently, watching us dismantle the Ravager Empire in a matter of hours has given them serious pause about their aggressive policies. Captain Morrison smiled grimly. Nothing focuses the mind like watching your neighbor get completely outclassed. It's more than simple intimidation, Admiral Cross explained. The Krell are actually reaching out through diplomatic channels. They want to discuss terms for what they're calling coexistence protocols. Maya felt a surge of hope. They want to negotiate instead of fight? It appears so. The Krell may be aggressive, but they're not stupid. They've calculated the odds of military confrontation with Earth's forces and decided that adaptation is preferable to extinction. The implications were staggering. If the Krell Empire, one of the most militaristic powers in the galaxy, was willing to negotiate rather than fight, it meant the protection strategy was working even better than hoped. What about the other aggressive empires? Rex asked. Admiral Cross's expression grew more complex. Mixed results. The synthetic collective has withdrawn all expansion fleets and appears to be reassessing their strategic position. The Hive Lords of Proxima are maintaining their current borders but have ceased all aggressive activities. However, the Void Hunters and the Crimson Dominion are taking a more confrontational approach. She manipulated the display to show fleet movements near the edge of human-protected space. Both empires are massing forces at our border systems, apparently preparing to test our resolve. How large are we talking? Maya asked, though part of her dreaded the answer. The combined fleets represent approximately 12,000 warships, Admiral Cross replied calmly. It will be the largest military confrontation in recorded galactic history. Captain Morrison whistled softly. That's nearly 40 times the size of the Ravager fleet we faced at Kepler 442b. Yes, Admiral Cross agreed, but we're not the same force we were 3 months ago either. She changed the display to show human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Maya's breath caught as she realized the true scope of Earth's military deployment. The fleet that had saved the Kalari had been just one task force among dozens. Humanity had spent 15 years building not just advanced technology, but a massive military infrastructure capable of defending dozens of star systems simultaneously. How many ships does Earth have? Maya asked in amazement. Currently operational? Just over 50,000 vessels, with production facilities capable of adding 10,000 more per year, Admiral Cross replied matter-of-factly. We learned from human history that if you want peace, you must be overwhelmingly prepared for war. The scale was mind-boggling. Humanity had quietly become not just a galactic superpower, but potentially the dominant military force in known space. Yet, instead of using that power for conquest, they were using it to protect species that couldn't protect themselves. Dr. Singh, Admiral Cross continued, we're hoping you lead a special diplomatic mission to the neutral zone where the Void Hunters and Crimson Dominion are gathering their forces. Your work with interspecies cooperation has made you one of our most effective ambassadors. You want me to negotiate with genocidal empires? Maya asked incredulously. We want you to give them the same choice we've given everyone else, Admiral Cross explained. Adapt to a galaxy where aggression has consequences, or face those consequences directly. Sometimes the threat of overwhelming force is more effective than the use of it. Rex looked at the tactical displays showing the massive enemy fleets, and if they choose to fight, Admiral Cross's smile was cold and predatory. Then they'll discover why the Ravager Empire no longer exists. Earth didn't become a galactic superpower by accident, Captain. We became one because we recognized that sometimes the only way to protect innocent life is to be willing to destroy those who threaten it. Maya studied the star maps and fleet positions, seeing not just military movements, but the birth pangs of a new kind of galactic civilization. For the first time in recorded history, peaceful species could develop their unique gifts without fear of conquest. Aggressive empires had to consider the consequences of their actions rather than simply taking whatever they wanted. Admiral, she said finally, I'll take the diplomatic mission, but I want something in return. Name it. Promise me that when this is over, when Earth has established its protection network across the galaxy, humanity will step back from active leadership. The compact should be governed by all its member species equally, not dominated by the one with the biggest fleet. Admiral Cross considered this carefully. Dr. Singh, you're asking us to voluntarily give up the power to single-handedly shape galactic civilization. I'm asking you to prove that Earth really is different from every other superpower in galactic history. Maya replied, Power corrupts, Admiral. Even power used with good intentions. The only way to ensure that humanity remains a protector rather than becoming a ruler is to build checks and balances into the system from the beginning. And if other species make decisions that humanity disagrees with, if they choose paths that we consider dangerous or unwise, Maya gestured toward the assembly hall where dozens of species were working together on complex problems. Then we advise, we argue, we try to persuade, but we don't impose. The moment Earth starts making decisions for other species instead of with them is the moment we become just another empire. Admiral Cross nodded slowly. I can see why the Kalari consider you their most trusted human ambassador. Very well, Dr. Singh. When the immediate threats have been neutralized and the compact is stable, Earth commits to transitioning from protector to partner. The galaxy should be shaped by all its inhabitants, not just the ones with the most advanced weapons. As Maya prepared for her mission to the neutral zone, she reflected on the extraordinary transformation she had witnessed. Humanity had evolved from a minor species on the galactic periphery to the dominant power in known space. But more importantly, they had chosen to use that dominance to create something unprecedented, a galactic civilization based on cooperation rather than conquest. The challenges ahead were enormous. Aggressive empires with tens of thousands of warships were preparing to test Earth's resolve. Peaceful species had to learn to work together despite vast differences in biology, culture, and philosophy. And humanity itself had to resist the corrupting influence of absolute power. But as Maya watched representatives from 47 different species collaborating in the assembly hall below, she felt a surge of hope. For the first time in galactic history, the strong were choosing to protect the weak rather than prey upon them. The universe was becoming a place where intelligence and creativity mattered more than military might, where diversity was celebrated rather than eliminated. The age of galactic empires was ending. The age of the Terran Protection Compact had begun, and Maya Singh, a xenobiologist who had simply wanted to study alien plant life, found herself at the center of the most important transformation in galactic history. The stars themselves seemed brighter as a new era of cosmic civilization dawned, guided not by conquest and domination, but by protection and cooperation. Humanity had become what the galaxy had always needed but never dared hope for. Guardians who used their strength to serve rather than rule. The survivors had been saved. The predators had been stopped, and the universe would never be the same.